This Goblin Rabble Master will eat us up if we don't find a way to kill it. Amulet of Safekeeping. They're playing Amulet too. Alright, guys. We are back here with our 50 ticks Amulet list, and if you haven't seen the very first video where I introduced the 3 budget lists that I have for Amulet, 30 ticks, 50 ticks, and 100 ticks budget, then you should go check out match 1. I went over each of those lists in detail and what is going on in this list and the other lists. So if you didn't see that video, then go check it out now. Otherwise, you're sorely missing out on lots of decent content. At least I would say so. And yeah, we kind of just got stomped by Amulet in round 1. We are still trucking here, so let's just jump in here for match 2 and see how we can do. Alright, we have our match. See what we can get paired against. I should imagine that our red matchup, specifically Burn, would be pretty good as well, so hoping to get paired against Burn. On the draw again. That's alright. Let's not keep a 1-lander with Adventurous Impulse again. Are we going to keep a 2-lander with Impulse? I think so. We can play Dryad on turn 2 here by playing Amulet off of the forest and then Vestige to float 1 and untap with Amulet. Our opponent's on turn 1 Utopia Sprawl of Forest, choosing red. We're playing against Ponza. This is not good. We have no choice but to commit our Amulet here and hope our opponent doesn't have Blood Moon on turn 2. Yeah, this is not a great matchup for us. If they don't have Blood Moon, we have a pretty decent hand, though. Any single bounce land makes this a turn 3 Titan, so there's hope. And with our Grazer as well, then we can play Titan on turn 3 if we impulse into a bounce land. Our opponent playing Goblin Rabble Master, 3-mana 2/2 that makes a Goblin, and other Goblins have to attack each combat, and whenever Rabble Master attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each other attacking Goblin. That one could be a problem. Not super worried about it yet, but bounce land. Bounce land off the top 1 time. Summoner's Pact. That one's not quite covering it. We could Vestige into Explore here, and if we don't find a land, we could Impulse and see if we find a land then. And even then, if we find a bounce land, we could play bounce land, Grazer, play Dryad. So I think it's probably correct to start with an Explore. So that's what I'm going to do. So here's the Explore. We found a land. It's not a bounce land. Yeah, let's go looking for the bounce land so we can get Dryad and play it if we find it. We don't. We have the option of another Dryad or a Grazer. I'm thinking a Dryad will be more important if our opponent removes our first Dryad, or if our opponent slams a Blood Moon on us, then this will be pretty nice. Obviously not taking damage for a Stomping Ground here. Do we want to put the Grazer in play to block? I feel like we don't. It's also worth noting we can pack for a Mammoth. I don't think we have any in the main deck for this list. No, we don't. But yeah, we could pack for a Mammoth as a land source at some point in time if we do board those in, so that's worth noting. I think I'm going to hold on to this Grazer and just hope we top deck that bounce land that we need. Running 6. That one's not too concerning. This Goblin Rabble Master will eat us up if we don't find a way to kill it. Dryad plus Valakut would be a very convenient way to kill it, but I mean, we gotta get there first. Alright, bounce land off the top. Once again, bounce land. That's what we want. Bounce land. Let's go. There it is. So we can play Titan this turn. If we pack for Azusa, we can play Dryad, play land 4, down to 1 floating, play Azusa, land, Grazer. So packing for Azusa lets us get Dryad into play before our Titan. So let's do that. I'm going to go ahead and pack for the Azusa first. Let's float and pick up the Growth Chamber. Play it once more. We'll float and pick up the Growth Chamber. We'll play a Dryad. Play a Growth Chamber once more. We will float. Let's see, so we have 5, 6, 7. If we pick up the Vestige and graze that in, then we'll have 4 lands in place for triggering Valakut immediately and still be able to make Titan mana. So go down to 2, 3, 4, put Vestige into play with Grazer. That's 6, so we're good to pick up the Vestige here. We'll choose a green, of course. All right, here comes Primeval Titan. All right, step 1 has been accomplished. So now we need to haste with the Garrison, I do believe. So we could also get Vesuva copying the Vestige. I think getting the Vesuva in play makes more sense than getting a Garrison in play, since we can pick up the Vesuva with a bounce land and copy a Valakut later on down the road. So I'm going to get Vesuva and Slayer Stronghold. Copy the Vestige here. Alright, so we'll float a white with the ability, and then a red using our Dryad ability, of course. Haste our Titan. See, so we have 8 damage here. Our opponent can absorb 1 of it, so 7 puts our opponent down to 11, and then getting double Valakut on the attack is 4 total triggers for 12, so we do have lethal here. So sending everything at them. Yup. We want Valakut and Valakut. We'll save targets upstairs. Stack these amulets. Always, yes, always, yes, always. Yield. We'll let our opponent take their combat damage. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the power of Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Round of applause for Dryad. Did a great job there. Alright, so we're going to want Wilts for our opponent's potential Blood Moons, including Reclamation Sage for that ability as well. We're going to want Abrades to kill their accelerant creatures like Arboreal Grazer. Not Arboreal Grazer, that's what we play. Arbor Elf, for example. It also would let us kill a Magus of the Moon if they have that, for example. Fire Spout is decent. It kills Seasoned Pyromancer tokens and the Pyromancer itself, and it also kills our opponent's 1-mana creatures if they have those. Mammoth is interesting as an additional land and as a threat, so I think I like Mammoth as well. Alright, so here we can trim on Grazers. We don't really need to power out Dryad or Azusa that fast. We can definitely trim on Pacts and Bojuka Bog. Pact because we don't want to lose to our own Pact trigger if we can't pay, since our opponent is playing Land Destruction and Blood Moons. Bog because it does nothing. Get out of here, Bog. You don't do anything. We'll trim and Explore. Impulse seems very good here, actually. Sort by mana cost here. We could trim an Amulet. I don't hate that, since we're likely not going to be comboing off with Amulet if our opponent gets a Blood Moon in play, but otherwise Amulet is generally pretty good, so I like having Amulet. Especially turn 1 Amulet can be very good to get a 3-drop in play on turn 2 and just start going crazy. So I think I like it. Maybe 3 Fire Spouts is a lot. Kind of feel like 2 might be a better number, as it is kind of slow, but I'm going to trim 1. And if we see Magus of the Moon, then we'll bring in another Fire Spout, as we can always cast that one through Magus of the Moon and kill it. What else? Zeus is kind of lackluster if we're just pouring in a bunch of basic mountains thanks to Blood Moon. So we can trim one of those. Ghost Quarter lets us find a basic land. Radiant Fountain can be useful. We can trim a Garenbrig, I think. Entering the battlefield tapped on turn 1 is not great for us. And I guess just 1 Impulse makes sense. There's nothing else I really want to cut. Mammoth is debatable. I'm going to trim an Impulse. We might not have time to be casting that. Alright, let's see for game 2 here on the draw. It was really fortunate of us to win a game 1. Must say that. We have an Impulse here and a couple of land drops, so I think we keep playing Azusa on turn 3 and exposing our bounce land unless we find a land off Impulse, but we have a draw stop and we have the Impulse itself, and if we draw an Amulet, then this hand is just insane, so I'm going to keep it. We can pact for Rex Sage if we have to. That is, assuming that we can find our own basic forest, which we'll be looking for. There's our Amulet. Do we play the Amulet, or do we play the Impulse to play around Blood Moon? I think we gotta play the Impulse. As sad as it is, I think we gotta play the Impulse. If we find our basic forest, then we'll be in great shape, and otherwise we put 3 non-basic forests on the bottom. We don't find the basic forest, but we find some lands. Don't really want either of these two lands in our hand, strangely enough. I guess between the two of them, we'd rather have Stronghold in hand. We do need lands for this particular hand to work out. We'll take the Stronghold. And we'll pass it back. No basic forest just yet. Hopefully our opponent just doesn't have the moon. If they do, then we'll hope to top deck a basic forest. And if we don't manage to do that, then oh well. Utopia Sprawl, alright. Could still be a moon. It could be a Chandra Torch of Defiance. Feels like a Blood Moon. Mages of the Moon. Alright, so we do have removal for this one. And we can bring in Fire Spout in our game 3 here. Grades are not helping a whole lot. I'm going to put this Telarios into play. And this Amulet. And pass it back. Not scooping to Mages just yet, because we do have many outs to it. And we can also... I mean, all of that relies on us drawing a basic forest anyways. I guess Fire Spout is an out here, and it doesn't rely us to have any basic land, so that's one of the nice things about Fire Spout in this matchup. They pillage our Amulet, which is unfortunate. This pillage could have hit a basic land, though, so not too worried about it. Right, basic forest off the top is still good. Another Titan, not really doing it for us. Alright, let's play our Stronghold and pass. I'm debating whether or not we ever play this Growth Chamber. If we find another Amulet, then we'll have Titan mana, but otherwise we have to find even yet another land drop. I suppose since we're assuming that we need to draw a basic forest here to play this out, that it makes sense to play the Growth Chamber as well, so... Ooh, Rabble Master will kill us very quickly here. We need to find our basic forest pronto. Clothis. And it's activated. My goodness. Alright, well... I forgot about the Rabble Masters. Knowing that they have Rabble Masters and Mages, we absolutely want our third Fire Spout, so... Seeing Rabble in Game 1 maybe should have been a clue, but... I missed it. It happens. Wilt that we cannot cast. That one's kind of tragic. Not that we could cast it on anything relevant here anyway, so I guess we cycle it here? Are we just dead next turn? I don't know. I'll let our opponent figure it out. Alright, definitely dead next turn. I'm just gonna go ahead and scoop it up. Actually, I guess we could top deck Fire Spout. I don't know if that keeps us in the game, depending on how much damage we're taking here, but it's technically an out. This looks like a lot of damage. Could be lethal. Might not be. It's lethal. Cool. All the better. Alright, so we definitely want this Fire Spout. Baloth doesn't strike me as being great here. Neither does Explore. Impulse looking alright there. We didn't find what we needed, but that's okay. Maybe trim another Explore. I don't hate that. Maybe Mammoth isn't great here, as it's not a meaningful land through Blood Moon, and we can't cast it through Blood Moon either. I think not boarding in Mammoth makes a lot of sense here, actually. If we get it in play before a Blood Moon effect, then it could be good, but it also just dies to bolt effects and stuff, so I don't know. I'm not in love with Mammoth. Let's take, instead, our Impulse to find our basic lands, and I guess Castle? Maybe an Explorer? I guess Explorer is better. Yeah, let's go like this. This way. Alright, on the play. Love it. We've got a basic land, an Impulse, a Dryad to cast on turn 3, and a Radiant Fountain to stabilize. So we'll keep. Wilt even lets us play around Blood Moon here, so this hand is quite excellent, I must say. We will lead on Forest Impulse. Not sure what we're looking for. I think we take the Growth Chamber here. Could be another Dryad, though. I'm going to take the Growth Chamber. Just guaranteeing we have Titan mana. Looks like a good option for us, and this also means that we can leave a bounce land in play if we desire it. Might let us transmute Telarios down the line if we find an Amulet, for example. If our opponent plays a 1-drop here, like an elf, yeah, then we probably have to leave up Wilt for Blood Moon if they have it. We also have Reclamation Sage to just slam. Maybe it's pretty free to just get our Colony Garden into play. And we can Reclamation Sage if they have Moon. and also lets us cycle Wilt if we need to, if our opponent has Magus instead of actual Blood Moon. So, playing Colony here seems good. See what they got. Definitely feels like a Blood Moon because they're snapping this off. The same sequence we played against in game 2. What's the 3-drop this time? Are they going to have Magus again? Just a straight up repeat? There's the Magus. Alright, well, we're going to be cycling a Wilt. Do we slam Dryad first? Kind of feel like we slam Dryad. We could also Rex Sage away our opponent's Sprawl, so they have only access to 3 or 4 mana this upcoming turn and can't play like a Glory Bringer. We may also need the Sage for a Blood Moon, though, so I don't know. Let's get our bounce lands into play while they don't make us bounce a land. I am just going to slam a Dryad here, so we'll unlock all of the colors of mana that we need, although it's not going to let us get Valakut triggers. Yeah, Dryad also walls this Magus from attacking, so we can't get clocked by it. We're giving our opponent access to a 5-drop this turn, however. That could be anywhere from terrible to fine, depending on what our opponent has in hand. I don't know. Maybe playing the Dryad was a little risky, but it's what we did. There's the Blood Moon, so we can definitely Sage that one. It's a good thing we held our Sage in that case. Clothis. Okay. So we just need to draw one of those Abrades or Fire Spouts, and we already have an answer for Moon lined up, so play our land out here. We'll play our Sage, of course. Get that Blood Moon out of here. Yep. And we'll just cycle Wilt at our opponent's instep. Do we swing with the Dryad? I think that we do. I don't see a reason not to. If our opponent wants to attack into our Rex Sage, I'm totally fine with that. We can Wilt our opponent's Utopia Sprawl. I don't know. We really need to draw this answer to the Magus, though. And if our opponent just has another land drop, they can still cast a Glorybringer or something at this point, because they'd have 4 lands plus an untap. So I don't think wilting their Sprawl does anything for us here. They can do 2 damage to us. That's cool. Do they gain 2 life as well? Yep. This is invalidating our Dryad clock to some extent. Kind of unfortunate. They go for a Blood Moon here. Another Sprawl. You got it. If they go for a Blood Moon here, then we can float a green in response and then wilt the Blood Moon after it resolves. Our opponent's making a ton of mana. Feels like a Glorybringer to me. Goblin Rabblemaster. That one we don't mind as much. Alright, let's cycle Wilt into a Fire Spout. That is what we want. They cast Weather the Storm. That seems like a terrible card to bring in against us. You got it. Weather all of the storms. You can have a freaking typhoon if you want. Our opponent has PTSD from getting Valakutted away in game 1. This is not a good card against the Amulet. Don't bring it in. If this had been another Magus of the Moon or Blood Moon or something, then we'd be in some amount of trouble, especially if they held onto it and didn't play it out. Let's take our chump block on this Clothis, keep our life total nice and high. Not trading our Rex Sage for a lone goblin. It's not the life I'm living. And let's just go ahead and cycle this Wilt. Find that Fire Spout that we're looking for. Fire Spout. Amulet. No. Fire Spout? Basic Forest. That's actually not bad. Let's play that one. Let's play another Dryad, question mark? Yeah, with Double Force, I think it's fine to just get another Dryad into play. Stop our opponent from clocking us. Might as well throw Amulet out there, I guess. Or do we Azusa? I feel like we Azusa to block the goblins. Alright, we're done. Serve for 2. I feel like our opponent's likely just to not attack. I guess they'll attack with the Clothis, which is a faster clock than we like. Yeah, I don't think we can attack here. We may not be blocking, but doesn't mean that we can attack. Getting them down to 24 is just completely irrelevant when they're going to gain the life right back with Clothis. So I guess playing Azusa is bad if our out is top decking Fire Spout here. We could also top deck in a Braid. Or just slam a Titan. Titan would still be good. There's a Seasoned Pyromancer. They just draw 2 cards with it. That's pretty decent. Might call that one pretty decent. And man, if the first one was good, the second one's got to be great, right? It just keeps going. The value train continues. Another Magus. This was a mistake to play it, I think. I mean, nobody's going to be playing around Fire Spout, but still. All right, let's get these Goblins out of play. Of course. And I guess we're just taking 4 for the time being. Don't love it, but maybe this Rex H has other uses. The Valakut. I mean, I guess we save that one in hand for if we can get these Mages out of play. All right. Might be blocking with this Rex Age now. Before they deny us the ability to do so with like a Lightning Bolt or something. Although, I guess, yeah, Lightning Bolt in the Sage would be pretty good. Both this continuing to do what it does. Opponent's at 30 life. These Seasoned Pyromancers were fantastic for our opponent. Amulet of Safekeeping. They're playing Amulet too. Whenever you become the target of a spell or an ability an opponent controls, counter that spell or ability unless its controller pays 1. Creature tokens get -1. This is actively bad with their own Goblin tokens, by the way. Actively bad with their own Goblin tokens. Yeah, again, I just don't really see the reason for this type of effect. I mean, I know it counters our Valakut triggers, but, I mean, we don't need Valakut triggers to win. They pillage our basic land. Okay. I mean, that's better than them just having another threat here, I would say. We're still going to be blocking the 0/1 that has to attack with our Azusa here, just because we can't let Goblins amass for them to attack with the Rabble Master also. I think we do just go ahead and block the Clothis, though. Alright, Fire Spout's still good. I think Fire Spout's the best draw. Still got nothing. It's alright, it's alright. We'll play Amulet, anticipating that we'll draw something. Do we play the Valakut out here? Because we can still just go bounce land, and get Valakut triggers. I guess we do. It does expose the Valakut to a pillage, but I mean, I'm not playing around it. Alright, we need to top deck Fire Spout, like, right now. Like, pronto. I think we're about at the stage of chump blocking with Azusa also, which is kind of scary. But we just can't go down to lethal, you know, if our opponent has a Lightning Bolt or something, and gotta keep our life total high enough to take a couple of hits for 2 while our opponent's Clothis remains in play, as this one is indestructible, so not like it would die to a Fire Spout anyways. We might just be dead here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I think we're just taking lethal. So block here, block there, block there, take 2, 4, 6, 7. Yeah, we're dead by Xaxes. Whew. Pretty close, pretty close. And let's see if we would have hit. Valakut. Crumbling Vestige. Alright, so we weren't going to draw our out anytime soon. Bad matchup here for us, and we did manage to steal 1 game, which is fantastic. Yeah, so currently not the best in the league, but I don't feel like there's much we could have done about it. I think that our build is actually well positioned for the Ponza matchup, including things like Fire Spout and a Braid that you usually wouldn't have access to if you were playing Amulet. Losing a bad matchup 1-2, not unexpected, and I still feel like this list is pretty solid, so let me know what you think, and I will see you guys in the next match. This is Red Face Menace, signing off.